Welcome to Mini Bike Monday. Sorry folks, this one might be a little long and not a perfect tutorial, but if you own this style of mini bike, my hope is that you will find portions of this video helpful. I will also try and leave info in the description below so you can jump to sections that may apply to your situation. So we've got the mini bike back out after being in storage all winter long. And we started it up, and I'll show you in a second here. It was running kind of rough. We did take the precaution of shutting off the fuel, and I'll show you that here as well. On our particular unit, there's a fuel shut off. So I don't think it has anything to do with the fuel getting gunked up in the carburetor, but I guess it could be. But we're going to take a look at some throttle adjustments and a screw on the carburetor as well. There's a couple videos on YouTube, one I watched, and I'll put a link in the description below. It gives a good description of what he did. Unfortunately, the video doesn't show him working on it, but at least it got me thinking and gave me some inspiration as to what we needed to do on our unit. Let's see if we can get this thing back up and running. It's a lot of fun. So on our particular unit, this fuel cutoff switch, and as you can see, it's in the off position. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the on position, and we'll get the bike fired up. You'll see just how rough it idles or runs. In fact, when I had this started earlier, anytime you throttled it up, it would actually die out. So hopefully with a few adjustments, we can get this thing back up and running again. First thing I will do is remove the air filter cover and inspect the air filter. Pretty clean, even after riding it all last fall. Seems like it's intact and doing what it needs to do. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty clean in there as well. With the air filter off, it was easier to get at the throttle linkage and also the set screw for the idle on the carburetor. The throttle cable and linkage looked like it was functioning correctly and operating smoothly. It was about right here when I realized that my issue might have more to do with the clutch, and so we put the air filter and cover back on and decided to inspect the other side where the clutch was located. But before we do that, I will describe what was happening to the mini bike when we were able to keep it running. It had the tendency to creep or crawl while idling, which wasn't safe at all. Again, the throttle cable was adjusted correctly and the idle screw was backed out almost fully. And to try and hold the bike back, we would apply the brakes, which would usually cause the engine to stall out and die. So we brought the mini bike inside to inspect the clutch. First, we will have to remove the 5 bolts that are holding the chain guard or clutch cover on. Now that the chain guard is off, we can remove the chain from the chain tensioner. We will need a 12mm wrench to loosen the bolt that holds the clutch on. A couple of taps with a hammer and the bolt is free. Here's the bolt, lock washer, and a large fender washer. We then slide the clutch off the shaft. Upon initial inspection, it looks like the garter spring is not holding the metal pieces away from the clutch housing as it should. Of course, this is causing the clutch to engage even while it's idling.
Again, this is the stock clutch that came with the bike. Seems very sloppy or loose right now, so we're going to look at replacing it.
My initial hope was that maybe the clutch just needed a good cleaning, so I watched a couple videos and properly cleaned and lubed it, but unfortunately it was more than that. So we did some research and received a recommendation from a reputable source that Max Torque clutches are well built and made in America, which I don't believe was the case with our stock clutch. We also ordered a new garter spring with the hope of maybe trying to restore the stock clutch to use as a backup if needed. We will try to address that in another video. First of all, we need to get some measurements in order to get the proper clutch size for our particular unit.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Centrifugal clutch.
I then proceeded to order the correct Max Torque keyed centrifugal clutch for our unit. I will leave a link in the description to their website, which has a number of helpful tips and also includes this diagram. A couple of days later, the new clutch arrived, and here it is in its original packaging. I placed the provided key in the clutch slot and lined it up with the slot on the shaft, and slid it on as far as I could before I grabbed the rubber mallet and aligned it on the shaft so that it lined up correctly to receive the chain. I reattached the chain around the sprocket on the clutch and then made sure that it was properly engaged with the tensioner. After reinstalling the chain or clutch protective cover, we apply a few drops of oil to the clutch hub or the bushing. After a minute or so of adjusting the idle set screw, I was comfortable with how the engine was idling and not allowing the clutch to engage, which was previously allowing the rear tire to spin, creating that creeping or crawling effect that was not safe. Now she's all tuned up and ready for a test drive. All in all, the mini bike is running great and back on the trails. Thanks for watching, and again, please check the description below for more information.